Good morning and welcome to Studio 5. You've been watching Mitt Romney's announcement that he's in the race for the U.S. presidency, and sort of an exciting morning hearing out that announcement there.
It is exciting. It was interesting to see how, I think, the tone and the angle he took early on. Not sure if that will be telling of his presidential campaign to come, but I know a lot of people here in Utah certainly feel connections to him, his influence over the Olympic Games. He mentioned that several times, and so a lot of Utahns feel tied to him, and they will likewise to his campaign.
He's a favorite son here, and of course, Utah overwhelmingly voted for him in the last election. We'll see what happens this time around. Now we're going to switch gears a little bit. What if you could look into a crystal ball to determine what your kids are going to be like or how your relationships are going to develop? New research says you might actually be able to do that. Minus the crystal ball, of course.
The latest issue of Psychology Today points to 6 clues that reveal what kind of person someone will become. Studio 5 relationship coach Matt Townsend has been reviewing the research, which sounds really interesting.
Yes, great reading material. I slept through it. No, it's a lot. It's intense. It would be great to run Mitt Romney through this.
Oh.
Any presidential candidate.
See if he would be a good...
Do they possess the character traits that will create success?
And is that what it come down to, characteristic traits?
Yeah, that's what they talk about. And I'm going to kind of put a little spin on it, because I don't think this is about evaluating everyone else's character and characteristics or traits. It's about us, okay? So we're going to give you the 6 traits. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Tons of fun. When we go through them, see if you have them. Maybe you'll be on the way to success.
Or maybe you think you do.
Or maybe you think you do. Intelligence, okay? So intelligence, a quick idea on that is it's not reactive smart. It's somebody that can be in a moment, feel anxious and frustrated, but they have the intelligence to manage their own emotions.
Okay. Coping.
So they have very good coping skills, but it's basically emotional intelligence.
Okay.
Okay, so do you have intelligence? 2, do you have drive? This is something I think Mitt Romney probably oozes. Drive is that motivation, that idea to get out there and get something happen. These are the people that set goals, make stuff happen, and move. Think about your partner. You would love your partner to have drive. And a little intelligence, right?
Let's be honest, at least the garbage would get out.
That's exactly. Something would happen, right? Okay, so the next one is going to be happiness. Happiness simply is the idea that these are the people that can go out and see the good. They find the happiness, they actually make something happen, okay? They identify, you know what, this wasn't a bad day, and they find all the shining moments in the day versus those that can't find the happiness, even though it's hitting them right in the face. 3rd is goodness. The goodness are the people that have empathy. Okay, so the basic skill is empathy. You've got to learn to feel empathic and caring of others. So they call that goodness. I would just call it somebody that can feel and get in the path of another person.
Okay.
Empathy.
Like that.
Next is friendship. Friendship is the concept of reciprocity. Reciprocity is the idea that I serve you, you serve me, we serve each other, and together we move on. Good friends are reciprocal. They meet your needs.
The last one, intimacy. As we look at this list, 1 through 6, are these things, I mean, obviously you hope you possess these things, but are these things that even adults can build and develop? Yeah,
and so this is maybe where some people would question. Some people think you're just born with this. You either got drive or you don't. I kind of disagree. I believe with a lot of these traits, they're very teachable. They're skills that we can teach. And so, like, intimacy is not just about, like, physical intimacy. Intimacy is about the ability to risk with other human beings, be vulnerable, be open, and then we create closeness and intimacy because we're able to risk. And I believe every single one of them can be taught, can be changed.
Now, the whole idea of this article is if you look at your kids, if they have these 6 things, or if you look at Mitt Romney or whoever,
or their friends, or their boyfriends, or girlfriends,
you'll be able to tell what they're going to be like. But you say there's a different twist to this whole thing.
They use it as a predictor. The problem is this is so complex. How are you ever going to predict? So instead, I suggest, instead of using the crystal ball to find the perfect people in your world, use this insight to see if you can become the perfect person, not the perfect, but become the ideal partner, the ideal friend. You make sure you're using this to work on you. Okay, so the crystal ball really is about being a better partner instead of finding a better partner. Do you possess the intelligence, the drive, the happiness, the empathy? Do you possess reciprocity? Because if you do, great. If you don't, we've got to work on some skills. And we'll go through and give you some activities you can go and do in a minute. Now, one thing is work on you, not everyone else. The second reason the ball's so important is you got to work on what you have influence over. I can't influence Mitt Romney's drive. I can't influence my wife's positivity always, but I can work on mine. So why I suggest we work on us is because I have complete influence over me. And what I found is the more we work on what we can do instead of worrying about everything else we have no control over, we're going to succeed.
You mentioned some activities, some assignments. Let's break these down one by one. First,
ready?
Intelligence. Some of us are glad to know that isn't a you have it or you don't.
That's a really good one.
And it's not just smarts, as you were saying.
It's not just smarts. Okay, this is about you trying to identify things that you can actually do. This is where you learn to stop reacting. This is where you become an intelligent person with other people. You learn to notice the feelings inside of you where you're ready to explode. And you learn with your intelligence to get into higher thoughts, better thoughts that can change some of your moods. Okay? So it's learning to manage your intelligence. It's a form of emotional intelligence. It's a very big sign of success.
So you've got a little chore for everyone.
Yeah,
on each one of these things.
Here
I think we popped up some of them earlier. We'll put them up again, hopefully.
What it is this. You got to learn to stop reacting to every situation placed before you and increase your intelligence by thinking of better responses. So the way you do that is instead of when you're sitting here frustrated, ready to go off on somebody, I teach to ask the higher question. Like, what do I want most tomorrow? What do I want most in my relationship with my child who just spilled milk everywhere? Now notice how this takes some intelligence. You can't just be the reactive monkey that goes off screaming at your kids. You got to get into the higher brain and say, what do I want tomorrow? That's an intelligent move. Right? Second one is drive. Drive is where we exercise agency and choice in our life, and we make some choices, right? So this is your homework assignment for drive. Identify something you want to accomplish, something important to you, make a plan, and plan daily on that activity. So make a goal. What's one thing you want to improve this next week? Make a plan, so one thing you can do every week, and then every day implement it and document it.
So if I want to exercise more, I like chart down how many days do I want to get on the treadmill, how many minutes, all that stuff, and actually keep track.
And the research would say the more we actually create a plan, the more likely we are to feel motivated. The motivation doesn't just come from having an idea. It comes from having a really cool idea with a great plan that we act on daily.
So I would define that as diligence, but you say if you do it over time, that will build to drive.
Well, yeah, and so notice this is just going to be semantics, because they use drive, but really what they're talking about is planning.
Okay.
Right? Okay, so the next one we talk about is happiness. Happiness is the concept that you can actually go out and see the positive things in your day. This is easy. You've heard of a gratitude journal or a gratitude diary. This is where every day you identify one thing you're grateful for. Write it down and then go talk to someone about it. That's a very simple activity. If you know you're a little low in happiness and being able to see the positive, start noticing it. One good thing a day, write about it and tell everybody else about it. Okay, it's a simple task.
Goes a long way.
Positive thinking. The next is goodness. Goodness is empathy. Empathy is my ability to see that you trip in your high heels when you trip on a cord running through the studio.
Hey.
And you slide and just totally face plant it.
For the record, that did not happen.
Well, it didn't today. But if that were to happen, I would, instead of laughing at you, I would feel actually sad, and I would feel what you feel. Empathy is not sympathy. Sympathy is like, oh, I've tripped before. We're both klutzes. Okay, that's sympathy. Nobody wants sympathy. Most of us want somebody that doesn't necessarily hasn't had the same experience, but can still feel what I feel because they get into me and they try to understand it. The best way to learn empathy, though, is to focus on it. A great question you can ask yourself, by the way, notice, it's more intelligence, is what's it like to be Brooke? What's it like to be Brooke having to deal with Matt on the show?
If only you knew.
That's a question.
What's it like to be Darren with Matt making fun of his watches? That's empathy, or that would be empathy, right? The next one's friendship. Are you a good friend? You're a good friend, Brooke.
I'd like to think
Brooke
so.
She's a, now, Darren, I don't know.
I'm sketchy in that area,
You're kind of mean. So good friends focus on friendship in your day by initiating contact and following up with your friends in your social network. Get out there and call your friends. Contact them. Say, I haven't talked to you forever. So homework assignment is if you don't feel like you're being a reciprocal friend who meets their needs and they meet yours, get out of the box
Can
today.
we jump to the last one? I'm interested for the assignment for intimacy.
I know you are. And you're thinking of the wrong kind, you sick dog.
Of course.
Again?
Intimacy, this is being vulnerable. Make yourself be vulnerable. Take a risk with someone you really care about. Have a conversation where you share something that is really important to you. So take a really close person in your life and say, you know what, I just feel like I haven't been as risking with you as I need to be. So I want to be more vulnerable with you.
That's a good one.
And I want to tell you a story about how I tripped in the studio today.
6 traits, 6 assignments, and you can actually increase your own character. These are some of the things you're going to be talking about, your big smart life thing.
Ladies, smart life for women. This is the coolest thing. From 1 o'clock to 2:30 every single Saturday. This one's actually not at Noah's. This one is at my office. So call my office or go to matttownsend.com. It's an hour and a half, $15 just for the women, and we get in depth on all of these skills and tools.
Do you say Thursdays or Saturdays?
I'm sorry, Thursdays.
Okay.
I was excited to come until somebody made fun of my high heels, but ladies, you enjoy it.
They're incredible.
I hear it's great. No, it'll be fun.
Thanks, Matt. Okay.